our development into a highly advanced and capable species with creative and productive powers that no other form of life can equal, may have been made possible by one of the special conditions that exist on the Earth only during Ice Age environments. The development of the human species didn't even begin until the modern Ice Age epoch began roughly 2 million years ago. The critical factor that dominates the timing of the development of humanity is the increased galactic cosmic radiation that results during glaciation conditions when the shielding effect of the heliosphere vanishes. When the primal fields collapse, the spherical shell of plasma that the solar winds create around the solar system will vanish in short order. The plasma shell is called the heliosphere. It forms when the solar winds grind to a halt far from the sun, whereby the plasma of the solar winds accumulates from within into a relatively dense shell. Without the heliospheric plasma shell surrounding the solar system, the full force and volume of the galactic cosmic ray flux will then be able to penetrate to the Earth. The penetration of the cosmic ray flux and its interaction with our biological systems appears to have a beneficial effect. This means that the universe has given us a great gift by providing two distinct environments that in conjunction have aided the development of humanity on two critical fronts alternately. The glaciation periods furnish an environment that provides a type of nourishment for mental development, with a high rate of galactic cosmic ray flux, while the interglacial warm periods furnish an environment for easy living, with plenty of food available under a brilliant sun. Both aspects appear to be needed for the advance of human development. It may be that the dawn of humanity did not begin until both conditions were established. The critical conditions simply didn't exist until the Ice Ages began. As I said before, cosmic rays are not rays in the standard sense like rays of light, but are highly energized electrons and protons in motion at upwards to the speed of light. With the cosmic ray particles being electrically charged, they typically pass right through our biological systems without damaging anything. However, as they pass through the biological system, they generate electric currents by induction that appear to be beneficial for the high-level neurological functioning that governs the complex human biology. They tend to facilitate critical functions that apparently might not occur otherwise. Our biological and neurological systems are extremely complex electric systems, which evidently benefit from increased electric activity, especially so when it extends over long periods of time. Our cognitive, scientific, and what may be called spiritual powers appear to be derived from this high-level type of electric nourishment. The cosmic ray interaction may have enabled cognitive powers and then aided the continuing development of them, by which we became a high-level species. The interaction between cosmic ray flux and human development is surprisingly evident when we look back into the history of civilization as it developed in the current interglacial period, where some cosmic ray flux is received from the Sun, primarily during the cold periods. Since it became possible with carbon-14 measurements to measure the historic volumes of the solar cosmic ray flux, and it became self-evident that this volume varies dramatically with changing solar activity, which is also mirrored in temperature changes. It becomes possible to correlate cultural effects with changes in solar cosmic ray flux. As we make the comparisons, it becomes surprisingly evident that the great progressive developments in civilization all occurred during the cold periods, which are periods of high volumes of solar cosmic ray flux. For the same reason was the period of the Maunder minimum of low solar activity, where no sunspots have occurred, which is coincident with the Little Ice Age, a period in which enormous scientific and cultural development has occurred. During the Maunder minimum, the extremely high solar cosmic ray flux of that period gave us the greatest peace treaty of all times, the Treaty of Westphalia, that still stands as the foundation for civilization. The period also gave us the great musical geniuses and scientific geniuses that are still admired today. As I said before, the conditions in Paleozoic history, when the primal fields for the Sun collapse and the Sun turns off, are rare. They occurred only 4 times, as we have records of them, with the earliest having occurred roughly 450 million years ago. There may have been earlier, deeper glaciation periods between 650 and 750 million years ago, in which the entire Earth froze up into a giant snowball and remained frozen for tens of millions of years until the Sun became reactivated again. While the snowball Earth theory is controversial, it is well within the range of normal possibility in the context of the primal field's dynamics. Rare as the great glacial periods may be, our existence is linked to them. The coincidence of the dawn of man with the modern Pleistocene Ice Age epoch is significant, as it indicates that our very existence as a highly developed species may be the direct result of the potentially very high cosmic ray flux density that occurs in times when the solar heliosphere does not exist. Since the normal, rich conditioning for human development gets interrupted by the interglacial periods, which is all that we have known, we really don't know what normal living is like, even as we are about to become drawn into it again. During the lean period of the interglacial, we have seen only occasional increases in cosmic ray flux. This time it's coming from the Sun. History also tells us that in the few occasions of high volumes of solar cosmic ray flux, amazing cultural developments occurred. Almost all of the great cultural breakthroughs were made in these times. The development of written languages, for example, occurred in one of the deep cold times, with high volumes of solar cosmic ray flux. History also tells us that the great developments that did occur in these cosmic ray-rich times were typically cognitive and scientific in nature, which renders them to be forms of spiritual development that may be termed the pinnacle in the mental realm. In a very real and powerful way, the rise and fall of civilization. In a very real and powerful way, the rise and fall of civilization follows the ebb and flow of the recognition of spiritual values in society. The rise and fall of spiritual recognition, in turn, follows the historic rise and fall of the cosmic ray flux reaching the Earth, which is typically the inverse trend of solar activity. The inverse also proves the principle further. Just as the cold periods were periods of great cultural achievements, the warm periods stand out in the long sweep of history as periods of cultural destruction, periods of war, from the Trojan War to the Roman Wars to the colonial wars to the world wars. The same correlation is also evident in more recent times, in the context with the higher resolution carbon-14 measurements of solar cosmic ray flux. The diminishing solar cosmic ray flux from the weak solar time of the Maunder minimum to the strong solar time near the year 2000 has become a period of accelerating collapse in civilization, a period of increasing insanity that became reflected in world wars, nuclear war terror, and the modern hair-trigger standoff towards the now fully prepared for first strike thermonuclear destruction of all life on Earth, for which the decision time on warning has been shrunk to roughly 1 minute, and the execution time to roughly 1 hour. That's the present state. If this isn't utter insanity, what would qualify for the term? We have drifted far beyond the insanity of the Nazi Holocaust that had murdered 6 million people in 6 years of fascist madness. Modern society exceeds this 100-fold. It is murdering upwards to 100 million people per year in the biofuels holocaust, quietly, unseen, with the sword of starvation forged by the mass burning of food in a starving world. The amount of diverted agricultural resources that goes into the projects to be burned would normally nourish 400 million people. This adds up to a supreme genocide in a world that has 1 billion people living in chronic starvation. And what is it all for? The Spanish painter Francisco Goya illustrated the connection in his etching "The Sleep of Reason Produces Monsters" of the Capriccio series of 1798. It appears, by what we see happening all around us, that the pinnacle of our humanity, our cognitive and spiritual capability, and also the lack thereof, as the case may be, is deeply affected by the ever-changing cosmic ray flux that the primal fields stand in the background to as an element of the larger scene. However, The future of humanity is not inherently bound to the cosmic default for the mental environment that the cosmic ray environment dishes up. The sleep of reason is not our inevitable fate. The sleep can be ended. The age of reason can be restored. Humanity has in its past become a highly developed species with far greater capabilities than society gives itself credit for. Of course, it takes some active commitment by society to raise itself above the sod and consciously become that human factor in the world that it has the potential to be. There is no need for a society of human beings to allow events to grind it down, when it has the power to generate its own events. Nor is there a need for humanity to wait for changing conditions to raise it up, when it has the potential to raise itself up, to create its own conditions, and to make this happen decisively. This means that no huge feat is required for humanity to free itself from the threat of thermonuclear annihilation that is now fully prepared for. The feat to end this impending Armageddon can be accomplished in a single week. It would take less than a single day to remove the trigger-happy rulers from power, who wield the club of war and terror and own the button for Armageddon. After that is done, it wouldn't take more than a week to physically disable and dismantle the entire nuclear war machine anywhere in the world. To accomplish this is not a huge physical task, and by taking these steps, humanity would write itself a ticket to have a future, which presently isn't even a concept anymore. The biofuels holocaust can be stopped in a similar manner, just as fast. All the doctrines that stand behind the Holocaust are built on lies, from the man-made global warming doctrine to the depopulation doctrine. The mass murder in the world can be completely ended in a month, and sanity be restored again. No gigantic feat is required for society to rebuild its humanity that way. On this path, society would gain more than just a little self-respect. Only the Ice Age challenge cannot be so easily met. It will take 30 years for society to build the infrastructures, to relocate all the countries outside the tropics into the tropics before their territories become uninhabitable. However, the critical breakthrough that is needed to get the ball rolling can be made in a short time nevertheless. No miracles are needed. The evidence is plain. The imperative is hugely impelling. The power to meet the challenge exists in society. In taking up the challenge and moving with its imperative, humanity would give itself and its children a chance for certain survival. The concept presently appears to be almost non-existing. As Goya had put it in his three-part etching, the truth is dead. But will she rise again, he asks. This is the truth, he says. She is the truth that defines us all. And this truth is alive. It is us, potentially. More than this we do not need.